have the April 26th Rules Committee meeting to order at 1:15 p.m. Mr. Snell, would you read the invocation?
Yes, sir. Rise, please. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this day. Lord, be with us as we go through the council meeting today. Give us wisdom, give us spirits, and give us the experience we need to do this job today. Lord, thank you for everything. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Made a motion for the approval of the March 29th regular session minutes.
Make a motion to be
Second.
approved.
Oh, I've jumped ahead of myself. Councilors, we gotta make sure we're all here. Come on.
Chuck Huston Jr.
Here.
David Walkingston. Bill Anglin.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Bird. Juliet Totes. Jody Fisher. Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Tom Garvin. Francis Hargis. Present. Connie Glory Gordon.
Present.
Lee Keener. Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton.
Present.
Tara Cowan Watts.
Honey.
We do.
I missed much of the orientation and it shows. Now entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to be approved.
Council Hargis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, now entertain a motion for the approval of the March 29th redistricting subcommittee minutes. By Council Hargis. Second by Council Watts. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved.
Mr. Chair.
Madam Speaker.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add a resolution confirming the nomination of Carolyn Allen as the 5th member of the Cherokee Nation Election Board Commission. I would like to ask that that be moved in front of reports. I would also like to ask in that same amendment of the agenda that we move 12 section 055 of old business up to be heard just after that resolution.
I'd like to second that with the, that be added as a sponsor.
Added as a sponsor to the confirmation list?
Yes, yeah.
All right. So the motion is to amend the agenda to place the 5th member of the Election Commission ahead of reports and then to move old business item number, was it number 4, Madam Speaker?
Yes.
To before reports, so those items will be taken in turn before reports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman.
I'd like to make an amendment that we include in, for section 5, section 6, I guess, to have discussion only, information only about the 15 districts.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Kenwatt. And Councilor, would this be then a new business item number 3? Is that how you would amend it
Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
on the old business?
Yeah,
We've got 1 and 2.
Under 3.
You would be a new business item, discussion only on
It
redistricting.
could be either.
Okay. Is there discussion?
Discussion only is fine.
And information, well, I don't know what's happening. Anyway.
So my understanding of the motion is for discussion only on redistricting.
Right.
As a new business item number 3. We have a second.
I guess, is it discussion now? I guess I'm a little hesitant for us to talk about redistricting when we have a subcommittee going and that subcommittee has jurisdiction over redistricting issues. It seems like we're taking this somewhat out of order, and so I would ask that we not amend the agenda, but that we take our issues pertaining redistricting to our next redistricting meeting. And that committee is headed up by Councilman Walkingston. So I'm not in favor of adding that to this committee agenda when it needs to go before the redistricting committee, subcommittee.
It is true, this committee decided that jurisdiction over redistricting would be, in the first instance, with the subcommittee. We do have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because this has went for a month. We've got no message, no information on this. Another thing is that it has been brought to my attention that we may be hiring a firm and I'd like to know some information on that. And I'm sorry, but I hate to be kept in the dark for a month and then put it off for another month. And that's the way I feel about it, so that's the reason I made the motion, then seconded. I call for a question.
Any further discussion?
Yep. Mr. Thornton, I really appreciate you bringing this forward, because when I was at the Election Commission meeting this week, they have to set precincts by their bylaws by July of this year. And we had, I believe, Chairman Hoskin, you put forward the legislation that sets the August 1 deadline for redistricting. And with the cancellation of today's meeting, I don't see how we're going to make either of those deadlines, and we're going to be outside the bounds of our own laws that we've made, and I have a problem with that.
Appreciate those comments, Counselor. I would suggest, Counselor, that the statute which sets the August 1st deadline is controlling over the bylaw, which sets an earlier deadline for precincts, and that it would be incumbent upon the Election Commission to comply with the statute. And if that means amending the bylaws, I expect they would do that. But there may be other issues. Maybe we're getting a bit far afield here. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, when is the next redistricting subcommittee?
Council Walker will correct me if I'm wrong, but it is next month.
Can we not expedite that?
We can schedule a meeting with sufficient notice at any time, and it would be certainly up to the chair, but we do have one scheduled right now for May. And I know a lot of councils are working on redistricting outside of the committee, subcommittee, which is not unusual. Councilman Anglin, and Councilman Washington, and Councilman Anglin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I like Councilman Thornton. We need to be as transparent about this as we can be, because out in our areas, we're starting to hear rumbling that why is this being put off? Why is this being put off for another month? And you guys are running up against a deadline. Are you going to hurry around and throw something together at the last minute? And we have all the chaos that we had in the last election. So I told my constituents this last week, I said, well, we will try to find out what's going on, why we're not being informed, and why these meetings are delayed for another month. And so that's 2 months we've lost. We lost this last month, now we're getting ready to lose another month. So that's 2 months down the tubes. And so I just want to make sure, because they're watching us today, and I want to make sure that I'm being transparent of what we're asking for. We want to know what's going on with our redistricting that you brought forward, before the last election, to have the chief to make sure that's in place. So that's where I'm at, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Washington.
I was just gonna say, we can have that meeting before the scheduled date, but we didn't want to jump the gun, because we just wanted to get our numbers of the districts before we went forward. And so if a special meeting can be called before the scheduled May. When's the ENF meeting next month? May 31st. We can call a meeting before May 31st, a subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Councilman. Anything else? And I've already recognized Councilman Garvin is next on our list. Then we're cut it off for Councilman Garvin.
I know Councilman Walkenstick's real busy, and I notice these meetings are always scheduled late, but I need to ask the attorney a question, if she will. When a meeting is set, can the chairman automatically change it? I thought it had to be, the committee is the only ones who can change a meeting, and not just one person.
I think that maybe the redistricting committee is just a little bit different, because it's not I'm not sure it's a statutory committee, but I would have to actually look that.
And Ms. Parker, Harold, we're getting into procedural matters that you can certainly handle with Mr. Garvin offline. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we do want to get on with it. And that the question really isn't germane to the topic of whether to amend the agenda. So the question's been called. All those in favor of amending the agenda say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Roll call.
Lori Jordan,
No.
Lee Tanner,
Yes.
Dick Lay,
Nope.
Curtis Snell,
No.
David Thornton,
Yes.
David Walkingstick,
No.
Carrie Cowan Watts,
Yes.
Bill England,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
No.
Julia Coates,
Yes.
Jody Fishing-Top,
No.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
No.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis,
No.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I couldn't hear, there was people talking. Can I have the one side, can I have a no vote read to me? If you voted no, please.
Can you get that after the meeting, Council?
Yes.
I mean,
It's on record.
It's on the record, we should move on. So Shelley, would you get the councilwoman after the meeting for the list of yes and
Aye as well, Mr. Chairman.
no's? And, yeah, the ayes and nays. All right, so the,
I have 8 yes, 9 no.
all right, so the motion to amend fails. We now move to the agenda as amended, and Madam Speaker, we are at the resolution confirming the 5th member.
As requested by the election board, they have submitted their name for the 5th election commissioner, and this under our laws. We appoint 2, the chief appoints 2, and the 4 that are appointed by the 2 bodies then select the 5th person, and they have selected their nominee to be Carolyn Allen. And this is a resolution confirming the nomination of Carolyn Allen as the 5th member of the Cherokee Nation Election Board Commission. And I would put that in form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. A second by Councilor Walkingstick,
Add sponsor.
and Mr. Walkingstick, and him as a sponsor. All right, do we have any discussion?
Mrs. Allen, is she here?
Is Ms. Allen
Oh,
with us
and
today?
is Miss Allen here? Yes.
Ms. Allen, would you come forward and share a few words?
And I think you have her resume attached to the resolution.
Ms. Allen, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to share a few words with us?
I just appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I really am looking forward to working on the Election Commission and having that part of input into the Cherokee tribe, and I would appreciate your consideration of this confirmation today.
Thank you. Certainly, and Councilor Gilmore.
Are we ready for questions? Thank you. Welcome, and
Thank
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, I think I shared with you
Yes.
personally, but anyone who's a special ed teacher has to have halos.
Well, thank
Not
you.
just one, multiple halos, so, so thank you for that service.
You're welcome.
And that means
Thank
you have the patience of Job, and you are ready to serve on our election commission post-2011,
Well,
I'm
thank you.
sure. So, do you, I do have some questions. Do you have any takeaways? I'm sure you had to be involved, even if it was just watching as a voter. Do you have any takeaways about good things or bad things, that, and bad meaning an opportunity that we could to change? What are some of the things that you feel like you'll be advocating for as an election commissioner?
I would like to sit down and review all the things that are in place and see if there are things that need to be discussed or changed once I'm confirmed, and once I've had a chance to review all the things that are actually in place, then I might be able to answer that a little better then.
Okay. Do you have any preconceived notions following the 2011 year of elections?
Well, I know that this year was a very busy year. I have worked the elections in the past. I've worked state elections as well as the Cherokee Nation elections. And so I've had different experience there, and it was just something I was interested in. I know there was a lot of time and effort put into this past election, And I know that the people worked very diligently to make those things, the outcomes, to be followed by policies and procedures. And I'm a policy and procedure person, so I would need to review all the policies that are in place and go from there.
Very
So,
good. Thank you for your time
Thank
today,
you.
and I appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. A yes vote is to confirm the selection of the election commission for the fifth commissioner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
We have moved old business item number 4 up as our next item. Councilor Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we were supposed to have a report on the Administrative Procedures Act from the Election Commission today, but I don't see them, and they committed to that last month. Do you have any suggestions, Mr. Chairman?
I will direct them and copy the whole council on a message that they provide the information that was requested. And I don't know why it wasn't provided, but we will certainly ask for that information, and the expectation will be that it'll be provided at the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, may I express some of my concerns about the law in place today that is not being complied with, and where we have areas of opportunity to strengthen our government and the transparency for the people?
Would you like to move to approve this, get us into discussion?
Move to approve.
Second with a friendly. I would like to delete Cherokee Nation Tribal Employment Rights Office, TIRO. That's a department. As part of their ongoing procedures with TIRO, I'm sure they have numerous meetings, and I'm assuming that there's really not a need for them to give us a 10-day notice requirement in order that they might have those internal meetings. So I ask that that be removed, and I put that in the form of a friendly.
I don't know that I'm going to be following Robert's Rules of Orders, but in the, trying to work this through. So is that your only concern, Councilwoman, is the 10-day notice requirement?
My concern is they're even part of this act.
Considering that they are actually approving those businesses, and there's been so much concern about transparency around that process, their policy and procedures being posted online, I decline to accept.
And I would put that in the form of a motion, separate motion, that Cherokee Nation Tribal Employment Rights Office, TARO, be removed from the motion being considered.
I think the proper procedure, Madam Speaker, is for her to successfully get a second, move into discussion, you make your motion. I don't want to burden the process, but I think that's
I
probably
have no problem
the
with
route
that.
to go. So Councilwoman, you lack a second, but I bet you'll get one.
I'll second that.
All right, so we now have a second. We moved into discussion, and to get us to the motion, Councilor Watts, would you yield to the speaker?
Absolutely, let's get through this, thank you.
Make that same motion that we remove Cherokee Nation Tribal Employment Rights Office, TARO, from this pending act.
All right, we have a motion and a second to amend the legislation that's been presented. Any discussion on that motion? Councilor Thornton?
Yes, I'm as Cherokee. To remove these, the TARO from this act. Is it, from what I understand, it's something that you don't want to put out 10 days prior to the
It has nothing,
meeting?
if I could respond back, it has nothing to do with transparency, because each and every one of these people or these companies that are approved by them also come to us on the very, I guess, the very next meeting. They would come to us in executive and finance to be approved. And at that time, if we had any questions about their approval or disapproval, because if you'll remember, we get both the approvals and the disapprovals. At that time, that is the proper time for us to ask questions. To bind this group by saying we want to know and be involved in every stage of the ballgame while you do your due diligence to see if a company should be approved or disapproved, to me, is burdensome to the process. Because we will get the ability to challenge either one of their decisions when that comes to us in this Executive and Finance Committee, which we would hold at 3 o'clock. And we do it every month, every one of these businesses, either approved or disapproved, that have applied for taro are brought before us. At that time, that's the place where this committee, acting as Executive and Finance, would get involved in asking questions about whether and why a company was either approved or disapproved. I don't think we need to be involved in the day-to-day activities of that process. And by including them in this act, that's what we're doing. We're putting ourselves as 17 individual counselors, we're involving ourselves in the day-to-day work process of that department. And I don't believe any of us ever imagined that we wanted to go over there and from 8 to 5 be dictating to our employees how to do their job. So I would simply say, let's take this out, let's follow our procedure already in place, let's talk about the businesses, either their approval or disapproval when they properly come before us in Executive and Finance.
Councilor Thornton, our attorney has some comments, but you're on the floor.
The only thing that I was thinking about this is that if they have some type of meeting at Terrell, do they violate Open Meetings Act in any way if they don't have an agenda posted?
They're not, could I respond to that? They're not an agency that's subject to the Open Meeting Act. They're a department doing their job.
Then they don't receive government fundings in any way? They don't govern government fundings in any way?
All of our departments receive government funding.
Okay. Then if they have a monthly meeting, wouldn't that monthly meeting be subject to an Open Meetings Act?
Well, then, could I respond? Then are we going to make interdepartmental meetings subject to the Open Meeting Act? I guess that's the question, because that's where we're at. If we do this, then all departments are going to have to say, well, yeah, we have a weekly meeting where we strategize about how we're going to move forward on different issues. So I guess now we better give a 10-day notice and let the public come in and let the council come in and help us do our work that we're employed to do.
I sincerely hope that not any department would not let a council person come in.
Well, I don't
Any
think,
meeting.
but do you want to
I know that
subject them
in
to?
the past that we've had council people that sat on the Terrell board. So I don't know, why that would be such a closed meeting if the Terrell has a monthly meeting. I don't know what they have, monthly, daily, weekly, whatever it is, and I doubt they have those types of meetings, maybe a monthly meeting. But I know that the council has sat on the Terrell board.
Well, Councilman, I think our attorney has some information she can
Only
share
thing
with
that
us.
I'm griping about, I guess you could say, is that I don't want to violate this Open Meetings Act in any way, shape, or form. I think that this federal government funding and discretionary funding are open to our people, to my people in District 3 or any district. And if we don't have an agenda posted, then we're violating that Open Meetings Act. Now, that's my thought. I know that anytime you have a board meeting, a school board meeting, county board meeting, county commissioners board meeting, you have to have an agenda and it has to be posted 10 days prior.
Diane, can you weigh in on this for us?
Maybe,
Go ahead.
I'd like to finish, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, Counselor.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I see that you all already have the book stacked here, so it doesn't make
Well,
much difference.
all I want to probably just clarify, because I think we're kind of down a different road, and I want to get the car back on the right road. And that is that there's 3 provisions in this that Counselor Watts has asked for, and I just want to clarify that and kind of on her behalf, so she can tell me shut up if I need to. But the first one is that she wants to add the Terrell office as an agency as part of how the APA applies to the APA Act, right? She wants to add that as an agency. Currently, they are not an agency subject to the Administrative Procedures Act, according to the statute. The second thing is, so the issue I think that the speaker is discussing is whether Terrell is an agency that fits under the APA. So I'm just trying to clarify that, just based upon what she said, and knowing what Councilor Watts has said, because we had the discussion to amend this. And then if you look on page 7, there are 2 provisions on page 7. And those are just to create a better notice and information system from the website. The first part is, and as you can see, they're both additions, not modifications. The first one is to add that the information system, information technology division of the tribe to create an email alert system within 3 months after rules are created for anybody that falls under the APA, not just Terrell, but anybody that falls under the APA, so that they're posted so all citizens can see. And then the proposed rules and public notices are posted online. The council and the principal chief are notified by email as soon as they are posted online. So there's 3 provisions in here, and just to, because one of the things you said, Councilor Thornton, was about taking Terrell out, and that's not the issue. The actual issue is putting Terrell in, because Terrell hasn't been a part of the APA. So we're not really talking about open meetings or anything like that. We're talking about making this Terrell subject to the provisions of APA, and then the other 2 provisions apply to any agency that comes under APA that it's not really targeting just Terrell. I think it's targeting all agencies under APA. So I will defer to Councilor Watts if I stated something wrong, but that's my understanding, is that's what there's 3 different provisions. 2 are kind of related as far as getting the notice out, and the third one is totally about adding a new agency under APA. So hopefully that clarified that just a little bit.
Well, I still, maybe I'm hearing 2 different things, but some things sound like to me they're against the 10-day notice to the public meeting or meeting of our departments or Terrell, or I think Terrell's one of the most important things in our nation. I think we need to know what's going on, and if we don't have notice prior to, that's where my problem sits. It doesn't set with anybody else, that's fine with me.
Might I just respond? If we look at that paragraph, it all is geared towards commissions and agencies. Terrell is neither. Terrell does not rise to an agency or a commission. It is issues that are taken care of within a department of the tribe. We have never asked departments to establish rules about their informal meetings or their internal workings. And if we go this route, I foresee that we're going to open the door where then we're going to say every department, if you have any kind of meeting, we want to know about it in a timely manner. This will bring the work at the complex basically to a halt, because they have a tremendous number of meetings of which all of us at any time can go and visit and review what they're doing in their meetings. But to make it cumbersome for them to do their work by putting them in this act, it would just bring business to a halt. We've never even thought about doing this before. This has always been limited to commissions are agencies, of which Taro is neither.
Council Calhoun.
Thank you. I understand that there may not be the votes to consider this one amendment to the act. I think if we could at least put all of the regs and regulations and policies and laws affecting Taro people on one page for the Taro folks, that would probably go a long way to helping remedy some of the issues that have been brought to my attention, that people feel like they don't understand where the process failed them because they didn't have that in front of them from the beginning. I don't know if we need to mandate that or if I can get reassurance. I don't know if there's anybody representing Chief Baker here today that could reassure me that that would be put on the table. We can still vote on this because I'm hearing that there's support at the table. But at the end, that's really, I think, would probably remedy and rectify a lot of the concerns from our Taro folks.
Councilor, I don't think we have anyone from Taro here, but Mr. Morton?
I just had one quick item to add. There's also, on the Taro appeal process and administrative procedure, it's in the Taro Act. And if they're added to this law, it's not only notice requirements, but further back in the document, it's an appeal process and rules on that. And I haven't read them side by side in quite some time, but there appear to be some inconsistencies if we apply Taro to this appeal process, plus keep the Taro Act appeal process in place.
I do wonder if it's a matter of how Taro presents its rules and regs, if that could be remedied somewhat simply. And I'm a big believer in you ought to be able to read what the rules are and find them easily. So I think that's the message that should be sent to Taro. And should this fail, I do think, Councilwoman, that the provisions in Section 304 concerning, electronic notification, I think those are a good way to enhance the act as it is on the books. But I have some concerns about adding Taro as an agency, and maybe it's something we should study a bit more. So that's the part of your legislation that gives me some pause. But in any case, any further discussion on that? Councilor Lay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of wonder where we're going here. This is 30 pages of legislation. It looks like to me it's written by a lawyer for a lawyer so they can all go to court together and make some money. And I can't support it.
Councilor Catawans?
I'm almost point of order for you, Mr. Chairman, since you're an attorney.
I did not take offense.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if there's a way that attorneys can make money off this thing.
Well, and so I appreciate the councilman's concerns not being an attorney. I often concur on those things. However, it is existing legislation that the tribe and our commissions should comply with. So even if you chose not to support additional transparency to our voters today, it's already on the books.
Mr. Chairman,
So
I never said that, Madam from County. I certainly support transparency. I don't support it the way you written.
We
point
certainly,
of order,
Yeah.
he's addressing me directly and I did not.
I understand. We certainly don't want to mischaracterize the councilman's position, and I certainly didn't hear Mr. Lay to be against transparency. He was against the act for other substantive reasons. And so we should take care of that. And we've got, Councilor Lay, I'd give you the floor if you had any rebuttal.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Burr.
Just in closing here, there were some concerns from Councilor Thornton here about not getting information about Open Meetings Act. I thought we were in compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
Councilman, I've not heard of a violation of the Open Meetings Act in the context of Taro, but certainly if there are, we ought to be brought to this committee's attention. And certainly if there's problems with disseminating information, Taro should hear what we're saying, because I suspect the consensus of the committee is we all want the Taro rules to be clearly understood by the folks who have to adhere to them.
Absolutely.
The issue is whether we legislate that by changing this definition of agency. That's the real issue. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Councilman Burgess?
Call for the question.
I had Madam Speaker on the list, and so if you would mind, Madam Speaker, did you have a question? Or, I mean, Madam former Speaker. You'll always have your title.
Unless the committee disagrees, I would like to see this table for a month and see Nason's comparison of the two and bring that back to us next month. Because I can see what both sides are trying to do and what they're trying to prohibit. And I agree with both, but I'd like to see what the comparison is.
We have a motion to table.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we'll table the next one.
It's hard to take.
We are at reports, yes. Mr. Marshall.
Good afternoon. I haven't seen you all in a couple of months. We've been busy here. If anyone has any questions, concerns to me or the agency, please feel free to bring them out. I do have some stuff that's been added since my submittal. We're going forward, some of the council has asked about deputization with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol up in the Kenwood area. We are moving forward with that. It looks like we're all going to get some resolution out of that. Some other councilmen, councilwomen previously has asked about contract employees of the Marshal Service. We no longer have any contract employees at the Marshal Service. Other than that, if there's any questions that you have for me at this time, feel free to try to answer them the best way I can.
Mr. King.
Mr. Chair, I would like to comment on you coming up to our community and speaking. You did an outstanding job, and you made your very good presentation, and I just wanted to thank you for that, and also open it up to the body, as you've spoken to me, if any other community would like to have the Marshal Service come speak to them. Marshall Beal is open to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Thornton.
Yes, Mr. Shannon, on May the 22nd, 5:30, Blue Ribbons down. We're having a community meeting. Appreciate it if you show up.
I will, if I have anything on that day, I will try my best to change it to be there for you. I will be there. Unless I'm in the hospital or broken, I don't know which.
Make sure you bring a gun. Or weapon, I guess.
Is there any weapon be fine down there?
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Marshall.
right, thank you.
I'm sorry. Councilman Cowan-Watts, did you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just had a comment. I can't recall if last month we publicly, but Marshall Anderson did that exceptional job with Sheriff Walton and the Rogers County Sheriff Department, and he expressed that at a FOIL community meeting we had. And apparently it was really job well done for both the Marshall Anderson, Jess Anderson, and the
Great.
Marshall Service. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the support.
I just want to say something to the council, and that is if you want to see the other side of our marshals, come to the event on Saturday, where they will be walking a mile in high heels in support of fighting domestic violence, because they will be walking in high heels. And I'm so proud of them for being it.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Marshall.
Send us a few pictures.
We have some out, and we're gonna be in a calendar apparently. I don't know when that's gonna be out, but yes, it'll be different. How's that?
All right. Mr. Morton, you here for the Attorney General?
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm Nathan Morton. I'm an Assistant Attorney General. The Attorney General intended to be here this afternoon, but he's running late from a meeting. We've submitted a written report. If you have any questions, I can either answer them today or find the information and get back to you. And also on codification, the process is continuing. We're seeing if we can have the entire body of law made into one electronic document and see how much it would cost to have a specialized agency put that all together and index it versus how much it would cost us to do it in-house. So we're currently getting bids to see the most time-efficient and least expensive method of getting it done.
Any questions for the Assistant Attorney General? Councilwoman Fisher-Howard?
I got a question. I know Todd's not here, but I do have a question about GRAs and Floyd. I know we had passed something a month ago, I believe you sponsored. Can you refresh my memory as to what?
Well, anything that wasn't supposed to be brought forward for information that was personal or something of that nature, anything that we was denied the information or they didn't want it brought out into the public, it was supposed to explain why on every
And I know this is probably a late conversation for that. We passed that. I think it was needed because I always had problems with getting information from the previous administration. I'm having problems getting information from the present administration. I do have a question. I did not know it until right now. I want people on council to know I did not know until today. I think I seen something today that said I was supposed to sign off on a GRA request for someone else. Or I'm supposed to sign the letter that they're sending over there. I want to know who made that change and who come up with it. I'm not part of that.
I can,
Yeah.
that's the GRA procedure.
Okay, when did it change?
I don't know about any changes, but the GRA procedure, where I understand it, I think I have the statute going, it has to, the request may come from a council member, but then the secretary of the council signs the request, sends it to the chief's office. The chief's office then has a certain amount of days to send it to the agency and respond back.
Okay, Don Garvin, did you ever have to sign off on anybody's GRA? No. Could you see when that change was made? Because I'm gonna be honest, at one time, I got mad and said, if I'm making GRAs, I'm a counselor, nobody else needs to okay or sign off on anything. And I do not want to sign off on anybody's GRAs or FOIAs. We're all adults, if people want the information, they can get it. And I was shocked when I seen that. It bothers me greatly, because I would resent coming to me if I was someone else asking me to sign something.
Okay, I'll pull a copy of the act.
Please do.
Councilman Keenan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I didn't see in your report anything about the history curriculum. Do you know where we are on that history book? Or what the status of?
Regarding the status of the copyrighted material?
Yes.
Actually, going to have meetings either this week or next week to consult with an expert on copyright to check. Because I did a section on it and noted that there appears to be some violations, but I want someone else to check and see. I want a second opinion.
Okay. And will that information be forthcoming from the AG's
Yes.
office? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Coates?
Given the discussion about counselors being able to be present at absolutely any meeting that's taking place in this nation, can you give us, please, the dates when the times when those meetings will be taking place so that we could be present as part of those meetings?
Oh, no, ma'am.
We cannot be part of those meetings?
I can check, but I don't hear so. It'll be an internal function.
Oh,
But we can,
I thought there was a lot of discussion that just took place about counselors being able to be present at absolutely any meeting that any department or any group was holding here in this nation. Counselors are going to be denied access to a meeting like this?
I'm sorry? To any meeting?
Well, I don't know. That's what was just brought up in the, in the discussion just a few minutes ago.
I
was
believe
that counselors are able to be present at any meeting
it's my understanding
of
that
any department of this nation.
Could I address that? I think I'm the one that said it.
Would you yield to the speaker? Ms. Coates?
Yeah.
Sure.
Those are not meetings that they're having. That's just their work-related activities. When I'm talking about meetings, I'm talking about this kind of meeting. I'm talking about a formalized meeting where the public and the council comes to. Are you going to sit next to Mr. Morton 8 hours a day while he does his job?
No, I just want to be present at this meeting that is about something that is very directly related to work that Lee and I do.
The proper way to address that issue is to put it on as an agenda item in one of our committees. It's not to go over and sit next to him and attempt to do his job.
I'm not attempting to do his job. I'm just wanting to be present to see what the discussion is. Because so far, we're not getting a lot of information about it.
Our governmental history is that we're set up as 3 separate branches of the government. Each branch has its respective function.
I understand that, Mr. Mason, I understand that.
It's actually Mr. Morton.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm combining your names, I apologize.
It's okay. And the answer is, no, you may not.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank you. Councilor Fisher?
And I would like to get with you sometime next month on these GRAs and FOIAs. I'll tell you what I want you to look up, is it's still done the way that the administration did before us, where it comes from, like, if I make a request, it comes from CNG, CNE, then it goes to the chief's office, then they have it around there, and then it's sent to me. I'm gonna be honest, I did not like it before, because I thought, why can't the information come straight to the counselor without going through Chief Smith's office? And I'm really not liking it now that we have to still wait on Chief Baker's office. So that is what I'm going to ask you all to research, how we could set it up where when the council makes requests, it comes straight to the council and not go through admin.
If it's a policy and procedure question, that would be best through administration. I'm going to go pull the actual act because I don't have it memorized. I know if the section you're talking about, I'm going to go read it for a legal side of it. But as far as the procedure between the administration and this body, I'm going to coordinate with your attorney for the legal aspect. But the Office of the Attorney General is not.
I would like to know that, how the policy and procedure is set up, because I think the council would change it to what they want.
I'm going to limit my portion just to what actually the law says, and I will forward your information on.
Thank you.
All right. Election Commission?
I had a question.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
My apologies.
Mr. Morton, can you tell us who will be attending that meeting and the expert?
I will be there.
Okay. And who's the expert? Can you tell us that information?
We're going to consult with an outside attorney, and yes, I will give you the information.
And who attended?
Attorney General should be there as well.
Okay, well, can you report to us? Can you tell us who
Yes,
was there, who the expert
I
is?
will come back here next month and make sure I'm here for rules and report to you.
Good. Thank you.
I'll make sure that I can attend.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You, Councilor Collins?
Thank you. Mr. Morton?
Yes.
I too appreciate the separation of powers. I understand that under the Government Records Act, as sponsored by Barbara Starr Scott some time ago, that we are formally requesting those meeting minutes, any records taken at that meeting, and the attendance. And I believe in the Cherokee Phoenix reporting that it has already been stated, and I think it was stated by Attorney General Hembry already, that we have hired an outside person who's supposed to be an expert, so I would assume you would have that handy, and since it's people's money, that could be put on the record, whose name it is.
Yes.
Who is it?
I don't have the name in front of me.
Councilor Coates?
Chief Baker at some community meetings in Kansas and Colorado about 3 weeks ago was stating that Renard Strickland was going to be someone that would be brought in for comment on this. Can you confirm that? That Mr. Strickland, Dr. Strickland
Is he going to comment on?
is one of the people that is commenting?
I don't know. On a legal end?
No, on the copyright issues.
I do not know.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Morton.
Thank
But
you.
Mr. Chair, I hope that you noted for the record, that is a GRA request at this time and should be provided to us in writing.
You're making a GRA request. All right. I think if you.
And you are
reduce-
going to do
I
a
think if you
written?
reduce it to writing, it'll avoid confusion. Thank you. Election Commission. No one here from the Election Commission. Tax Commission. Ms. Webster.
Afternoon. I think you have my report, and I would try to address any questions that you might have regarding that or any other situation.
Council Fuller.
I have a comment. I went to the Southside Tag Agency, and I guess a lot of people, when they see me, they always complain. It's too slow, or it's too this, or it's too that. And I had 4 different transactions. It was a little bit complicated. I walk in at 1 o'clock, there's nobody there but me. Only one other customer came in. I got wonderful service, so
Great.
all I can say is I know what happened to me. I don't know what happened to other people. They didn't know I was coming, and it was just an ordinary day, and I thought they did a really good job.
Thank
So
you.
I think a lot of
appreciate
people get a little antsy. I want them to go down to the other agency and pay 3 times as much, and they might not treat you near as well.
that. Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Webster. Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
while we're laying on accolades, so I do mine by mail, and it's great. I never have any issues, so
Good.
thank you and your staff.
Good. That's what we want to hear. All right. Thank you then.
All around.
Thank you.
I know.
We got a new car.
Self-governance.
I know.
Ms. Handy.
Good afternoon. I have several updates for you today. First of all, I'm sure that most of you are aware of some staffing changes within the agencies with Larry Ethelhoff leaving, but on the IHS side, the director of the self-governance office has resigned and is now moving over to the DOI. So her name was Hanky Ortiz. We had worked well with her. I look forward to working well with her on the Department of Interior side. Replacing her is, in an acting capacity, is Ben Smith. He's been with self-governance for a number of years, and we look forward to working with him. He was recommended by the tribes. We supported him in that position. Last month, I was requested by the Indian Health Service to present at a national financial training. We did that, and IHS reimbursed the nation for my cost in doing that. Also with IHS, we had participated, actually the self-governance office and Cherokee Nation developed a new process for payments. We developed that as a pilot project between Cherokee Nation and the Office of Self-Governance with IHS. That was successful, and we received a thank you notice from them that we now have 85% of the self-governance tribes following that same pilot that we initiated. An update that I'd like to give you on contract support costs. We have participated over the years with the national work group, both with IHS and with DOI. They formally developed a new work group with IHS. One of the key issues currently is that the IHS director has declined from providing the contract support shortfall report. That is a key issue to tribes in that the position of IHS is that data is should be held close and only submitted to Congress, and it should not be revealed to the tribes in that process. However, it has always been shared with the tribes in past years. The position of the tribes and of Cherokee Nation is that the data developed for that report is how we get our funding. We currently have contract support cost claims in excess of $29 million with IHS alone. So it could mean large dollar amounts to us. So it is imperative that we have access to that data as to how funds are being allocated and whether or not Cherokee Nation is getting our fair share of those dollars, along with the other tribes. I will say that we've been working with the coalition of tribes that we've been a member of for a number of years with Lloyd Miller. On behalf of the coalition, he submitted a FOIA request for that data. His FOIA request was denied, and he has subsequently filed an appeal on that FOIA request, and we have not, to my knowledge, we haven't received a response to that as of yet. This will be a key topic at the National Self-Governance Conference in a couple of weeks. But the tribes are working together to try to get that information resolved. In the meantime, we have been working with Dave Mather, who is a IDC and contract support cost specialist that we've worked with for a number of years. He also helped us in getting to the Supreme Court case. And of course, we won unanimously. But anyway, we've been in contact with him to have him look over the data from a national standpoint to see if Cherokee Nation is receiving our fair share of those dollars. I handed out just before the meeting an update on the Recovery Act. We just completed filing the reports. It looks like this, by the way. The quarter ending was March 31st. We had 10 days for most agencies, the 14th to some, but basically we have the first part of April to get those reports submitted to stay in compliance. This is a broad overview of the status of all of our Recovery Act funds. Should you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer those.
Councilor Cohen-Watch, you had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is anyone working with you on the 5% set aside, the additional 5% dividend set aside for contract health, and how making sure that we understand what potential impacts, and it may be opportunities, with regards to holding the government compliant with contract health obligations, showing that we're just having to spend tribal money because they severely underfunded per capita for contract health, and specifically like when we're in the hospital, Chisda. So has anybody worked with you on that? I mean, because we will have actual numbers, and I think that might be something that would help Lloyd in his efforts to help us and maybe recover additional funds, at least demonstrate the great harm that we know is occurring, especially if they're not willing to give us the information. Maybe we could use this in a different manner.
Okay, I think we're talking two different things. There's contract health service, there's contract support cost, which is the overhead or indirect cost funding that we receive. Contract health is a separate
But we should get overhead for that as well,
Yes.
too, right? So we're gonna be able to get numbers from them and such too.
And actually, how that
Yes, it is
figures
too.
in is that, and I don't want to get too technical, but we calculate the amount of contract support that we should have received on our current operations. Then we also do a supplemental. In other words, if we had those additional dollars, how much more service could we have provided, and the overhead on top of that. So we do a supplemental claim on top of the regular dollars. So in other words, if we had additional funding to operate, that would also generate more third-party, more dollars to generate more overhead. Does that make sense?
Because folks finally understood what we were trying to say in committee with our amendments, so they responded, I'm so glad, with this policy change. But it's going to, most of our tribes affected by this policy change. And so I think it's an opportunity to have much more data and understanding of how the bulk of our population is being impacted or not impacted by the lack of not just service money, but the overhead money associated with it. And I think this opens up a whole new data range to help understand that it's even more than what we've got on the table today.
Yes.
Okay, so have they talked to you about this?
Not
I think, because we need to gear the data gathering for you as well, not just the purposes of, that we've already set aside, I would think.
Yes, I would agree with
So
that.
will you be reaching out maybe to the health folks? Ms.
Yes.
Connie Davis, okay, very good. Thank you.
And actually,
Mr. Chairman.
I will say that could be incorporated in some of the work that we're trying to get Dave Mather on board as an expert to look at our operations and how best to do that.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Dave Mather.
Can you repeat what?
Pardon me?
Can you repeat that?
Dave Mather. He's a independent consultant that works with a number of tribes on contract support cost. And as I said earlier, he assisted with the Supreme Court case, which we won. The other item that dovetails into that is I wanted to briefly tell you that there is an OMB Federal Register notice, which was an advance notice of proposed rulemaking on changes that are being proposed in single audits, the cost principles and administrative requirements, which basically, to sum all that up, is to say that they're proposing some new rules that govern how we operate with federal funding, which of course for us is about 80% of our budget. Right now, these are preliminary questions. OMB is just requesting some feedback from organizations. Basically, on the cost principles, they're looking at consolidating the requirements. Right now, you have requirements for state, local, and Indian tribal governments, educational institutions, nonprofits, and hospitals. The government is looking at consolidating all of those requirements and just pinpointing certain items that would be unique for each one of those institutions, or governmental entities. The key thing with that is that we want to be sure that tribes are included and at the table in any changes, and that they incorporate some of the existing laws and regulations that we already have in place. Another thing that's being proposed within this OMB notice was a flat rate for indirect cost. So now there's two options within that. One is how do people feel about a mandatory flat rate, which would be applicable for up to 4 years without renegotiation. The other would be a proposed option to make that optional for all of these entities. So this could have a huge impact on how we do business. There's several other provisions that are included in, there are some other provisions that are included in that OMB Federal Register notice, but we're working internally on responding to that. There's quite a bit within that, and I can provide a report in the future as to what those individual provisions are. Also, how we submit grants, grant applications, basically how we do business with the federal government in grants and federal funding. Are there any questions or?
Thank you, Vicki.
On the flat rate, or the mandatory flat rate or optional, is that going to be either or some nations will get to choose, or will it be one or the other?
Well, right now, what OMB is saying is this is what we're throwing out, some options or some proposal, and they want feedback as to what the thoughts are out from the public about those options. Right now, with the flat rate, they've got two proposals. One, that it would be mandatory. I don't see very many people supporting that. The other would be that it would be optional, which would be at the choice of each entity, whether it be tribal, state, that each grantee could choose if they want to use a flat rate or if they want to negotiate. All of these provisions are basically to try to cut federal cost and hopefully to cut cost of government, whether it be at the state, local, or tribal level. That's their intent.
One more question, if I may. I guess next month, we're not under a deadline, right? So if we're getting close, I see the numbers here.
It's the deadline on?
Well, number of awards, 47, new award this quarter, 0.
Oh, on the Recovery Act, there are no new awards being granted. In other words, we're trying to wind up with expending those funds. They had to be obligated by a certain time frame and be expended and completely liquidated by another time frame. So we are working on finalizing all of those projects and submitting final reports.
Would that be ready by next report, next month, you think?
All of them? No.
Or your stance on where you are right at that point in time on these issues, as far as with the federal government?
Okay. I think you're mixing two different things. The OMB proposal, there is a comment deadline of April the 30th. So we do have a time frame to respond to that. And keep in mind, this is just an initial response where they're just gathering the thoughts of the public. After this process is completed, they will publish those comments and see what the input has been from the public on these proposals, and if there are any other proposals that come out of that. Then they will proceed with an actual Federal Register notice to possibly negotiated rulemaking to implement all of those changes.
And you'll be sharing that, whatever
Yes.
you know at that time?
Yes, as it progresses.
And then also, when you get together with the other team, find out about that, what numbers are, and we don't have to sit in on your meeting, but we would like to know what came out of that. Thank you. Thank
Well,
you,
your
Mr.
eyes may glaze over if you sit in on some of those.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Byrd?
Yes, just a comment. Vicki, how many Oklahoma tribes out of 39 are self-governance tribes? Would you know that?
Oh, goodness.
If you don't, that's okay. Because it leverages your negotiating, or, Councilor Keener asked either or when you go to negotiating table there.
We did a self-governance training in Oklahoma about 2 years ago, and I had numbers from that, but I don't recall.
Maybe half.
I don't think so.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
And here again, keep in mind that that could be, some are with DOI but not IHS, so there's a mixture.
Sure.
Some may be self-governance with IHS, but not DOI, so.
Anyone from the Gaming Commission? Gaming Commission. Citizenship data update, Mr. Justice.
Good afternoon. I have to apologize, I didn't get my report in, but it hasn't really changed a whole lot. I do have a couple of updates from the registration department on deceased and address changes. They did get an opinion about, I think it was Councilor Watts asked about putting names in newspapers of people that we have bad information for. They did get an opinion back on that. It's okay to do that, so they're looking into starting that process. And I believe they had 28 deceased notifications this last month, and, sorry, but I can recall off the top of my head, 852 address changes in the last month, so. Besides that, the report really hasn't changed a whole lot from last month. We are still working, contacting counties, trying to help out in any way that we can for 911 updates. But we haven't made a lot of progress in the last couple of months on that. So if you have any questions, though, I'll be happy to.
Councilman Walker, Stick.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
These maps, this Cherokee Nation 15 district map, what's the difference of the three?
Not, can I,
That you
can I
and
see a copy?
Councilman Watts brought up?
Okay.
Councilman, can I ask you a question? Are you asking a question about the citizenship registrar data or the redistricting map, which we disposed of earlier?
The redistricting map, sorry. I just knew that he was helping with the project.
Do you want me to go ahead with it?
We do. Not everybody does.
Councilman Walker Stick withdraws his question. Any other
I think
questions?
the councilman should be heard.
I think the councilman was. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Justice.
Yes.
All right, we now move on to old business item number 1. This is the independent IT discussion only. I don't know of any new developments on this. I would like to kind of keep this on our radar screen, but I'd entertain a motion to table this for a month since I don't have any additional information.
Make motion to be tabled.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Table the next month. Old business item number 2, Councilman Lake.
Yes, sir, I'd like to withdraw this.
That's drawn. Very good. All right. Old business item number 3, Councilwoman Fishing Hawk.
I forgot about this being on there. I put this on there at the time because we were doing our board of directors, and we were all confused over who was taking whose seat. I had asked admin about it for several months. They've not gotten with me. They've not said anything to the fact of it. All it is simply saying, would you please say which term whoever is holding, so we'll all be on board about which term we're talking about when they go before us to be replaced. There's not a whole lot to it. I hope you all had a chance the last couple of months to read over it. I take it, like I said, I asked admin. They've not said a word to me about it. That's all it is. I move for its approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Councilor Crowder wants.
the copy in the book does not have names or seats, so what are we approving?
We're approving.
I apologize to both council ladies. We probably need a motion in a second, and then we can move into discussion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. We'll move into discussion, and Councilman Fishing Hawk, could you respond to the councilman?
I realize it now. What it is just what I said it was, Kara. There's nothing more to it. I do not know why they haven't addressed it. I guess we're all going to get together and maybe we need to fill in the blanks for all I care at this point. I just want to know who's replacing who. it's supposed to be filled in before it goes to council.
And I appreciate what is being done in the, it seems like repeated attempts to do it. I don't know why the administration wouldn't respond to assist, or whoever it is that's not responding. But before we even voted on a committee, it has to have actual names filled in. I mean, we have to have details. I can't vote for this without understanding what it is. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, let's withdraw it for a month. We will sit down. If we have to, we'll fill in the names. It's no big deal what names we get on it, or what CD signs at this point in time, because I'm tired of messing with it.
So the councilwoman's made a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Mr. Garvin, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Table the next month. We now have, new business item number 1, resolution confirming the nomination of Ms. Carson as board member of Cherokee Nation Environmental Protection Agency, Councilwoman Fishing.
I move for her approval.
We have a second.
I second.
Second by Madam Speaker. Any discussion? Councilor Campbell.
I'm concerned that the nominee is not here today. I was really looking forward to meeting the person. Is she here?
Ms. Carson here? Ms.
How
Carson.
about this is a critical commission.
How about I withdraw it till next month, because I agree.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second to table.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The next one. Councilor Thornton votes no. Table the next month. All right, new business item number 2. Councilor Cal Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a reiteration to kind of at least update, because it's been so long since we did the original resolution, and it's just to affirm that we still feel the same way. We've already passed this once as a body. It's to pass it again. When I spoke with Senator Coburn's office, and they reached out to me, they felt like all the tribes need to refresh, so to speak, their resolutions. The other tribes seated on as advisory board members to the Claremore Indian Hospital have begun that process. There's 3 already in to date. We had them all prior on file, so this would be our affirmation to do the same. And I updated the board earlier this week when I attended the board meeting, to let all those tribal leaders know that it was in process and it was up to this body to move that forward or not, and they were excited to know the Cherokee Nation was continuing to work on it. So I make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? I do have a question, Councilwoman. To my knowledge, our resolutions don't grow stale, and our current resolution is not stale. And with all due respect to Senator Coburn's office, I don't think he knows whether it's stale or not. I suspect he doesn't, but it's not. I just wonder if this is not, perhaps not necessary because we're already on record, and I just wondered if there's some legal authority for the idea that a resolution grows stale over time.
Mr. Chairman,
I would direct that to Councilwoman and then Councilman Burns next.
So I think that it's important that we work together in cooperation with the offices that are actually going to have to do the work. I appreciate that we're already on record. I wanted to make sure it was very clear in the resolution to that point that it is already on record, and when we pass those things, but I don't see, as a resolution, I don't see that it harms us in being cooperative with the offices we're relying on to get the work to respond to that. And all the other tribal leaders concurred. I've had other folks also say that we needed, given that it was 2007, it's 2012, we have a new administration. I think it's important that we put ourselves on record again to clarify and make sure that everybody's still on the same page, because this will take a congressional fix to rectify the ongoing security issues at Claremore Indian Hospital, and I take those very seriously. And I don't think that a resolution, you know, making sure that we absolutely still concur and put that on record again with the new council, new administration, that there is anything wrong with that. There's nothing to preclude it. For a few minutes of our time and 2 or 3 sheets of paper, we can help support that office's work. And I think it's very important that we all get on board with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I think one issue is whether we should entertain the idea that our motions, or that our resolutions grow stale over time. I certainly don't want to entertain that idea, notwithstanding the senator's
That was my
view on it.
comment, Mr. Chair.
And Councilman Byrd.
Are we going to take all former resolutions and update those? Like you say, they don't go stale. I mean, we support this, don't get me wrong. I support it.
I suspect it passed unanimously in 2007. I think I was here, and, well, thank you, Councilman. Madam Speaker.
And I support this as I supported it in 2007, but I echo the same concern. Our resolutions do not grow stale. Our resolutions are what they are, whether they're in 2007 or whether it now is reviewed in 2012. I hate to think we're going to start down the road of every couple of years, let's get a resolution out and let's redo it again. I mean, I don't see a need for that. We have other pressing business. Our 2007 resolution can be attached to whatever is being sent in favor of this particular issue. We were for it then, we're for it now. I don't see a need to do a new resolution. And I would defer some of my time to our legal counsel and ask her the same thing. We're re-traveling a road that we've already traveled. I would like for her to speak to that issue.
Well, I think that the idea of, Mr. Chair, I guess I have your permission to speak, sorry. We just got through with the Robert's Rules of Order training, I'm still not following them, so.
Neither am I.
I think the issue that we really need to visit is setting a bad precedent. Because if we feel like that we have an older resolution that hasn't been amended or revised or something else, it's just like a law that we amend, even if we do a new amendment or a new revision, then we always put the legislative history there to make sure that that's documented to show that everything else, and there's a cumulative provision as well. But if we want to direct this, communicate this desire still for the tribe, we can just find that resolution and re-communicate that to whoever we want to take it and say it's still there. We don't need to make a new resolution because it could, and no disrespect intended to Councilor Watts, but just to make sure that we are consistent, because if we set a precedent that we've had an old resolution and then we're going to redo that or something, it could send a message later on for somebody to say, well, if you think that other resolution expired, then maybe this resolution expired, and that could be a
To your point, my concern is that every time we get to a new cycle of administration or council election, is there going to be called into question, are those resolutions still good? And the council will note that last month we passed an act relating to Willard Stone, and we referred back to a resolution in the 90s. And we did that because it was still good law, so to speak. And my concern is that we start down this path. Every time we hit a new administration, new election, somebody's going to say, wait a minute, you guys didn't reiterate that. That's my concern. It doesn't have anything to do with the substance, because the substance is something that the entire council supported in 2007. I've never heard an inkling of doubt that they still support this idea, but it's really something I don't think the path we should go down.
Well, if you take, for example, the gaming compact, does that mean if Principal Chief Smith signed the gaming compact that it's no longer good now that we have a new chief or different chief? And so the answer is no, because the gaming compact is good until 2020. So it's kind of that same theory. If it's an agreement, if it's a resolution or something, then it should be good as it stands. So that would be, but if you want to reassert that thought, and that everyone supports that thought, then just pull up the old resolution and send it to whoever you want to send it to, the Congress people or legislative representatives or whatever, if that's what the purpose of it is. So
I mean, this body at any time could pass a resolution wiping out that old resolution. But we've never been so moved to do that, and I don't think we are today. Councilman Thornton, I have you next on this.
and just say, you know, this was a resolution that was passed back then, and we still want that to be the same we still mean the same thing. We don't have to pass another resolution that mean the same thing.
Councilor Kamlons?
We actually have two resolutions, if I recall correctly. One had one approach, a later one had another approach. So this clears the air, clarifies, keeps everybody on the same page. We have multiple activities going on where our Oklahoma contingency does not necessarily agree on how best to approach the long-term resolution of it. So this makes sure that this is what we want, not one of the former thought patterns on how this should be declared in order to fix the exclusive federal enclave that was created in Congress at the Claremore Indian Hospital. Then we also have the work of the Marshal, our Cherokee Nation Marshal, with the U.S. Marshal's Office to do a temporary fix. We don't want people to assume that that temporary fix is really resolved the issue. We have had staff murdered on site. We constantly have our visiting patients, our own citizens, other tribal citizens that are put at risk. I would like to say that this body is more sophisticated than it is, but we have done stuff such as the Willard Stone and everything else. I can't think of a better reason to move forward with clearing the air, making sure that our resolutions are clearly understood and affirmed by everyone involved with such an important issue. I appreciate that we don't need to have to refresh. But again, I'm trying to cooperate with multiple parties in order to get something done for our communities that has major security issues and consequences. So nothing that has been shared today compels me not to vote for this and not move it forward so that we make sure that we protect our citizens at the Claremore Indian Hospital and the people who serve us at that Claremore Indian Hospital as providers, the visitors, the staff, the people in the surrounding communities around Claremore that are impacted by a federal enclave being in the middle of a municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other discussion? Mr. Lay, I apologize. I had you down.
It's fine. And it is an important issue. I think this 2007 resolution will work fine. Let's just resend it back to them. I am a product of, my son is in law enforcement. I had served on a couple of different agencies as a reserve. I believe in law enforcement. And I think things are starting to get worked out over there. I don't know if it's going to be temporary or not. There are security guards in that facility. They're unarmed. I'm not quite sure why. I still haven't had a good explanation of why they can hire armed security guards. The 2007 resolution, I think, is fine to send back to them if they need it. This thing's been going on for decades. Those are just my thoughts, and I agree with this idea, but let's just send the 2007 back. Thank you.
Any discussion? Councilor Fred.
Would this accomplish, or would it still be setting a precedent to change the title to a resolution renewing the request to the U.S. Congress? Would that satisfy?
I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Tina, you feel like that's setting a precedent? Oh, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I direct my question to her.
I am all for getting law enforcement in there. I am all for that property being federally recognized. I just don't want to travel a road where every resolution that's been done since the beginning of time gets revisited. That's my only problem with this situation is I believe we're setting a dangerous precedent that we're going to start revisiting resolutions that we already have on the book. Our resolutions stand forever. The 2007 resolution was passed by a good portion of this body. We were all for it then and we're for it now. And I think that I'm sensing that we're trying to say this is because of law enforcement. Law enforcement was an issue then. That was one of the reasons that we passed the 2007 resolution. the issues pertaining to this problem are not new ones being brought up. I believe the 2007 resolution will suffice. And I also am of the understanding, and I don't know, Todd, I saw our AG just slip in, I don't know if he was part of these discussions, but I believe we're almost to the point of having a cooperative agreement between the federal government and our marshal service, where we will be putting armed marshals at that site. Now, that was an impression that I was given from the executive branch, and I may be misstating, I don't know what. I would have hoped maybe you'd been part or privy to some of that information.
I have been privy to part of that information, and yes, we are. It's ongoing, and it's soon to be complete. And excuse my dress, I just came from my son's track meet, but I am here, and again, forgive me. What is the resolution that's being discussed?
The resolution is Councilor Cowan-Watt's resolution supporting the placement of the land in the trust at Claymore Indian Hospital. As you recall, we passed the resolution in 2007, and the debate has come down to whether it's necessary to pass this. Councilor Cowan-Watt feels strongly it should be passed. She's articulated her reasons and her reasons why it shouldn't be passed, because the resolution does not go stale.
Well, resolution is a statement of will by the body, and unless there is a specific, unless it's for a specific purpose or happening or event, it would remain in effect until undone by a resolution to the contrary. Just looking at this. Obviously, I recall vaguely the 2007 resolution, and that's was the statement of the will of the council at the time, and was the position of the Cherokee Nation government, and I believe that those positions have not changed by either the administration or obviously the council. Obviously, this is an event within your purview. Is it necessary? I would say that it's not necessary, but it's, if you want to restate it, again, that's within your purview, and it's the majority of the body would control.
Any other discussion on the
Offer question.
questions being called? Question was called on the resolution as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No. Call for it to be I'd ask for a roll call.
Roll call.
And let me make sure, because I want to make sure I'm clear on it. By voting no, we're just voting not to redo the same resolution that we did in 2007.
Nothing is rescinding the earlier motion.
And we can use the 2007 resolution as, for whatever purpose, to show our position.
I would expect we would always do that. All right, yes is for the motion, no is against.
Janelle Fulbright,
No.
John Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis, Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
No.
China Gloria Jordan,
No.
Lee Keener,
Yes.
Dick White,
No.
Curtis Snell,
No.
David Thornton,
No.
David Walkingstick,
No.
Kara Cowan,
Yes.
Bill England,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
No.
Julia Coates,
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk,
No.
Meredith Fraley.
Yes.
We have 7 yes and 9 no.
That's our last item of business. Do we have any announcements? Okay. The next meeting scheduled for May 31st at 1 p.m. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and we're going to take a 15-minute break between meetings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.